So sometimes there could be other contributors. What do we mean by other contributors? Now, notice this thing that whenever you read a piece of newspaper, uh, maybe it is an editorial and it is published in a newspaper, the editorial has its own author, but then the newspaper, broadly speaking, has its own editor as well. Even better example would be that you read a poem published in a collection of poetry. Now, in that collection of poetry, many poets are published. The works by many poets is published. Now, you know, somebody compiled all those pieces of poetry together in one book. That person, or maybe more than one person, who compiled all those stories or all those poems together in a book, they are called compilers, or sometimes they are called editors. So this word other contributors, by that we mean that there is an author for a particular work, which is our source. But then in addition to an author, we might like to refer to other contributors with reference to that particular source as well. So we want to tell our readers through the reference that I have used this particular poem, which was published in a book, but then we want to help our reader to access that book. So additionally, we tell that this book was edited by or compiled by a particular editor or compiler. So the editor or the compiler, they are called contributors. Some people call them additional authors. We need to mention them in our reference if there is an additional contributor with reference to the source that we are using. In your case, probably the editorials that you will take or the opinion pieces you will take, you don't need to mention other contributors. Okay, not for this assignment. But you should know where we should mention the name of that other contributor. You can see that right over here. So the words could be editors, illustrators, or translators. We might have a work which has been translated by somebody else. Okay. So the piece has an author and the piece has a translator as well. Of course, translator is the main thing, the main person. So look at this example, Foucault Michel, name of the author. Then title of the book by him, Madness and Civilized History of Insanity in the Age of Reason. And then this is the other contributor, this one. So if the book is translated by somebody else, we say translated by Richard Howard. If it is edited by somebody, we say edited by so and so. If it is illustrated by somebody, then we say illustrated by so and so. Okay, these are other contributors. The next example, Wolf, Virginia, name of the author, Jacob's Room is name of title of the work, and then annotated and with an introduction by Vara Navarro. Okay, so this is other contributor to that particular book. Let's proceed to version. If a source is listed as an edition, or if the source, if it is mentioned which particular edition this book is, or which particular version this particular book is, then we should include that in the citation. So let's see this second example. Crowley Sharon, name of the author. There is a second author with it, Deborah Harvey. And then this is the title, Ancient Rhetorics for Contemporary Students. Now please notice this thing, third ED. That is third edition. So this way we should mention the edition if there is one, if it is mentioned on the work that we are using. Again, the version category won't apply to most of you for this particular assignment, but you should know it for your later assignments. Number. So there could be multi-volume books, or there could be journals with volume and issue numbers. So I'm sure you have seen encyclopedia placed in libraries. They range from A to Z, quite a number of volumes for one particular encyclopedia. So if we use some information from one volume of the whole encyclopedia, we must mention which volume number was that. Similarly, I told you in the beginning that all journals and all journals have volume numbers and issue numbers. We should mention them. So right over here, the example is from a research for a research journal. This is the name of the author. This is the title, source, title of the source. And then starting from social work and society, this is the container. This is the container starting from social work and society, the international online only journal. Okay. And then right after that, we mention volume. This is the volume 6. And then number 2, 2008. And then this is the link where we can find this particular article. In this case, for 94 meetings, you have season 2 and episode 21. So season 2 and episode 21 also fall in the category of number. So some of you might need this information if the piece that you are using is published in a journal. If it is published in a newspaper, probably you don't need the issue number and volume number. Publisher. So the publisher is a person who publishes and distributes the work. Okay. So the name of the publisher should be mentioned along with the work. Now, for example, if you look at this citation, Women's Health Problems of the Digestive System is title of the source. And then it is published by American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. Right. Finally, publication date. We can look at this example. Publication date is the year when a particular work has been published. Now, in this example, Hush, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, created by Joss Whedon, performance by Sarah Michelle Gellar, season 4, Mutant Enemy, 1999. So this is the year basically in which a particular work has been created or a particular book has been published. You might have been noticing throughout this presentation that almost all the examples that we saw, they had a date at the end. So I went to slide 6, look at this, 1988, look at this, 2008, okay? So in the similar fashion, you would be able to see the dates at the end of almost all the citations, okay? So we must mention those dates when that particular work has been published. And then the location. Location is where the work was published. For example, if an article has been taken from a journal, the article should have certain page numbers on that journal. You should mention those page numbers as well. So look at this example. So here is the name of the author, then name of the source, then the name of the container, then this is the publisher and the date when it is published, and these are the pages 74 to 94. On the other hand, if the work is an online work only, the location of an online work should include a URL. So look at this example, Willis Mark. This is the title of the source. This is the container, which is a research journal. This research journal has a volume. It has an issue number, published in 2000.
They're more like Pretty Little Liars.
What is it?
Pretty Little Liars. They have volumes, and above all, comics have volumes.
Okay. Yeah, so for them, if you are quoting anything, so that is why I have to say it again and again, that probably you won't be using all of information from here for this particular paper. Okay, so you might not be quoting from the book that you just mentioned, but for some later paper you might need this information. So this is the link, students, this one, from where this article has been taken. This is the location of the online article over here. All right. Now, in some cases, you can also mention the date on which you accessed this paper, but this is optional. Okay. Now, one major part of today's presentation is done. Just one small part is left. We are learning MLA style. Mostly in MLA style, we are suggested that we should use in-text citation. What is in-text citation? I'll ask you to recall once again the NASA article we read. We saw that small number 10, which led us to a footnote at the bottom of the article. Why was that number 10 over there? That number 10 was over there to direct us to the actual citation at the bottom. The question is, if we learn how to write references according to MLA, as we just overwent all of the important rules in the first 11 slides today, we write the references at the bottom of our argument analysis paper, but how will we connect those references with the line or idea or the quotation which has been taken from the actual source? So answer to that question is we use in-text citation for that. Here is an example, and that is kind of self-explanatory example. First of all, what is in-text citation? An in-text citation is a brief reference. It is a brief reference within your text that indicates the source you consulted. What does it do? It directs the readers to the entry in the works cited list. So you have the article. At the bottom of the article, you have list of the works cited, or you have the list of the references. The in-text citation is within the article that you wrote. And that in-text citation will direct the reader to the relevant entry in the list of those works cited. Maybe in your case, you will have 2 works cited only or 3 works cited only. That doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter. You should just cite whatever you quoted or whatever you borrowed. Now, how do we write that in text citation? We write author's name and the page number, or just the page number if the author is named in the sentence. And we write the author's name and the page number in parentheses. Here is the example. Students, please read this sentence with me. It says, imperialism is, comma, the practice, the theory, and the attitudes of a dominating metropolitan center ruling a distant territory. Inverted commas close. So the author of this particular line started with the words imperialism is, but then that author quoted this line from another source. The author of that other source from where this line has been taken, the name of that author is Said, S-A-I-D. And the page number from where this quote was taken, page number is 9. So we wrote Said and 9 and then put parentheses at both ends and put a period at the end. Now this is the text that that person wrote. It is just like, maybe you can say that person is writing her argumentative analysis paper, okay? And in that paper, he wants to write this way, an idea, and he wants to quote the actual author. And he quoted that, or she quoted that this way, okay? So, you know, you are quoting from an article, you know who is the author. So mention the last name of the author right after the quotation within parentheses. If it is a book you are quoting from, then give the page number. If it is an online article which does not have a page number, then don't put anything there. Just write the last name of the author in the parentheses. Now, this is the scenario you have to imagine, students. Within your article, wherever you quoted any idea, you put the last name of the author in parentheses along with that idea. And additionally, you wrote references at the bottom for all the sources that you quoted from. Now, look at this works cited list. Just one citation from that, or just one reference from that. Said Edward W. You know why this name is in an inverse order? Because that is the rule. The last name comes first in the citation. And then title of the book, then the publisher, and then the date of publication. Now, when your reader is reading your article, now this is your article, this one. When your reader is reading your article, she wants to know where you took this quote from. So you wrote Said right after the quote. So your reader will have a look at the bottom of your article under the work cited and find from the whole list the word Said. So as soon as your reader finds the word Said, the reader will see, okay, what is it about? What is the source? And then the reader will continue to read Culture and Imperialism, published in 1994. So your reader is able to connect the quote with its source. So when you write your paper, students, you have to mention within your text the in-text citation. What is in-text citation? Just the last name of the author whose idea you are borrowing. If you have a page number from for the article from where you are taking the idea, then give the page number also. If you don't have the page number, don't give it. So last name of the author, and page number if available, and put that in parenthesis right after wherever you take an idea from a source. And additionally, provide the list of work cited at the bottom. So you might have just 2 sources to mention in the work cited. That is fine. You might have 3 or 4. It will vary from person to person. But because you are using 2 editorials, I'm assuming you might have just 2 articles, which is fine. If you feel like that you have read something else and you want to quote from the other source, you can do that. But at least 2, I'm expecting I would find at least 2 works whose reference you will provide in work cited, under the work cited. Okay. So then when I will read your argument analysis paper and wherever I find something cited, I will see that you will have written the last name of the author. I will check under the work cited what is the actual source. So that last name of the author inside the paper will guide me to the original source, which you have already mentioned under the work cited.